This is David Hawkins, DHI Empire, and Fuji was kind enough to loan me the FujiFilm X-T2 with the battery grip. Now, of course, this thing shoots about 10 minutes of 4K UHD without the battery grip. It shoots 30 minutes with the battery grip. Also, the frames per second increases with the battery grip. On top of that, it's just kind of badass looking, you know. It really goes with my whole, like, you know, black and white cinema noir sort of like style, so I like it, you know. I mean, if you were to pick up something along the lines of the A6300, then you would immediately notice the difference in quality between something like the A6300 and this camera. And on top of that, just have a look at it, like just the placement of the dials and the modes that you go through. There isn't a lot of digging through the menus for things in this camera. Like if you want to switch from manual focus to continuous autofocus to single shot autofocus, then there's a dial right on the front that lets you choose the focus mode. You can change your shutter speed here. You can change the ISO here. It's just like everything you need is right on top of the camera, and you can see it and you can access it. If you want to know what settings you have, you don't have to look at the menu on the back. You can see everything right on top of the camera. That alone is worth its weight in gold, but you know, also the build quality. This is ridiculously sturdy. And it has weather sealing, and it's a really, really impressive unit. Also, on the battery grip on the side here, you have a headphone jack, which is very useful, and you have your microphone in jack right on the camera. I mean, it's a very impressive unit, so I've got it for the day pretty much, so I'm just going to go around Photokina and see what I can see. I'm going to shoot some 4K video, I'm going to shoot a lot of raw photos, I'm going to have a lot of examples up on my website and here on the YouTube channel, and I'll try to get like a full review in at some point after I've spent all day shooting with it, so let's give it a shot.
So while I was at Photokina, I really had a chance to run the camera through its paces. I mean, I used every possible mode on the camera. So one of the things that really impressed me is that this is really a camera that's made for photographers and has photographers in mind. All of the dials, you don't have to go through menus for anything. But not only that, you know, let's say it's the end of the day and you're in the cab and you're on your way home, you can sit there and post-process your photos in camera, including choosing any of the FujiFilm simulations. You can just go in and let's say you shot everything in RAW. You can take the RAW file and go into the FujiFilm conversion mode, and you can convert that RAW file and do all of your processing in the camera, and it will output a JPEG file to your SD card, either the original SD card or another SD card in the second SD card slot, because yes, this camera has 2 SD card slots. So that's really amazing. If you took some shots that you were really proud of and you can't wait to start working on them, you could already start doing that on the way home, and that's just mind-blowing. The autofocus is mind-blowing. You know, the fact that you can do that conversion, the 4K footage looks really, really good. It's really just a shade below the A6300 in terms of sharpness, but in terms of the looks and the film simulations that you can do with it and everything else that you can do with the actual look of the video, there's nothing on the market right now that can touch it. Now there are a few cons about the camera, such as I found the Wi-Fi app that it uses to be kind of cumbersome, and I got a lot of crashes when using the Wi-Fi app. Sometimes the camera would crash, and a lot of times the app would crash. It was never any big deal. All I had to do was restart the camera or restart the app. But that was sort of a pain in the ass. Another really strange thing that happened was that when I recorded remote video using the Fuji Wi-Fi app, it recorded the video in 720p. All of my settings were in 4K. I had been shooting in 4K all day. All the video you see that I shot was in 4K, but for whatever reason, using the Wi-Fi app, it automatically defaulted to 720p. So thankfully I only used that for one shot, which doesn't appear in this video, but still it's kind of disturbing that that would be an issue. But those are relatively minor things. It's sort of like disappointing that you need the battery grip in order to have that half an hour of 4K video and in order to have the full 11 frames a second autofocus, but the battery grip is so well done. I mean, there's one battery on the inside and two batteries in the grip, and you have a monitor for the levels of each battery on screen so you can see which batteries are running out. It's really an amazingly well-designed battery grip, probably the best designed battery grip that was ever made in terms of the things that you can actually do with it. So it sort of sucks that in order to have some of the advanced features you need that, but that's sort of balanced out by how incredible the product really is. Overall, I would highly recommend this camera, especially for photographers. In terms of video, there are some kinks that need to be ironed out, but I didn't see anything that couldn't really be fixed through a few firmware patches, a few firmware updates, and I think this would be an incredible camera to use for video as well. It already has 4K in there, it already has a mic jack, it already has a headphone jack. All they need to do is sort of tweak a few things so that the video runs a little bit smoother, maybe tweak their app so that you're not running in 720p by default when you try to capture remotely with the video. But other than that, I could not recommend any camera in APS-C format today more than I could recommend the Fujifilm X-T2. So, this has been David Hawkins, DHI Enterprises, at The David Show on Instagram, and I'll see you next time.